Well, hello, my Big L patrons. This is the bonus episode that I promised you regarding Mr. Bill Weld, the OG Big L.
Well, let's take a journey down worthless Weld Lane, a well-worn path littered with broken promises, starting with his embarrassing bid as a Libertarian Party VP nominee in 2016.
If you hear nothing else from me today, hear this. I pledge to you that I will stay with the Libertarian Party for life. Okay?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.
You had a tough time getting out of the Libertarian nominating process not too long ago, and you promised that you were going to be a Libertarian for life. It sounds like you are now backing out of that promise.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
Oh, look! My nose! What's happened?
Perhaps you haven't been telling the truth, Pinocchio.
Well, I'm here vouching for Mrs. Clinton, and I think it's high time somebody did.
Tell us that you will not betray us.
I'm a Libertarian for life. Libertarian for life means not go back to any other party, just for the sake of clarity.
And you promised that you were going to be a Libertarian for life. It sounds like you are now backing out of that promise.
No, that's not true. Well, if rejoining another party means a betrayal of the Libertarian Party, yeah, no, I will not do that. No, that's not true.
I had promised to discuss two things. The first thing being past negative coverage of Weld by the Libertarian Party outside of his 2006 betrayal of the Libertarian Party of New York. And I have to admit, when I sat down to actually do the research, either my search functions just totally sucked, which is possibility, or my memory impressions were wrong. There were regular mentions of Weld, but it was not singularly negative. But most of it was the typical kind of half praise for a libertarian-ish Republican. There are some exceptions, of course, and I'm going to go through a few of these. Remember, again, I am omitting anything that is about the 2006 betrayal, because that was covered in depth in the main episode. And if you haven't listened to the main episode, please do. Some people were shocked that that 2006 information was not brought more to the forefront during the 2016 convention and the run for the nomination. So I'm going to give you a couple examples from 1994. Remember, Governor Weld was the former governor of Massachusetts. So in 1994, there was this blurb in Liberty Pledge, which is kind of like LP News, but it only goes out to monthly pledgers. If you're not a monthly pledger, maybe you should be. And, it has more like, I don't even know how to describe the difference, but it's more like in the news type stuff. It's a little bonus nuggets for the monthly pledgers, but I digress. So in the 1994 Liberty Pledge, I think it was either January, February, it was towards the beginning of the year, there was this quotation, which appears to be from a Massachusetts LP press release. And I will quote it verbatim, or as close to verbatim, because I get tongue-tied. The Massachusetts LP blasts Libertarian Weld for his anti-gun legislation. The Libertarian Party of Massachusetts last month blasted allegedly libertarian-leaning Republican Governor William Weld for proposing restrictive gun control legislation, accusing him of betraying Second Amendment activists. And then there's a quote provided. Weld had come out against gun control when he was running for governor, said State LP Executive Director Lee Nason. But he has betrayed us on a very important issue, reneging on his campaign promise. Well, and that's the end of the quote from Mr. Nason. Weld's proposal would limit handgun purchases to 1 per month, implement a 5-day waiting period in Massachusetts, and ban so-called assault weapons. Nason predicted dire political consequences for Weld because of his action, and we will once again quote Mr. Nason. Many gun enthusiasts will now be abandoning the Republican Party, and some of them will join us. At least with a libertarian candidate, they know that they will not be deceived on the issue of gun control. Before the gun control flap, Weld, a self-described libertarian Republican, had been mentioned as a potential LP recruit, and his name had been raised unofficially even as a potential LP presidential candidate. We were just as stupid back then. Interestingly, though, I discovered that that piece was sanitized a little bit by the editors of Liberty Pledge. Now, Liberty Pledge is put together by LP staff. So they often shorten articles because it's a very short newsletter. But in addition to it being shortened, there was a very blunt accusation of lying by the Massachusetts executive director that was expunged. For as he originally said it in the affiliate news section of LP News of the same year, it read, "But he has betrayed us on a very important issue, and this betrayal involved a lie, a reneging on his campaign promise." Notice the pledge piece did not say, and this betrayal involved a lie. And there was also, in 1994, after these pieces about the gun control issue, there was a letter, kind of like a letter to the editor. Letter to the editor. I am not going to edit that out. That is my thing now. Letter to the editor. What can be better than a letter to the editor? So, there was a letter from Jeffrey Chase of Boston to LP News. God damn. Bra straps. You know, we can send a man to the moon, but we can't keep bra straps on shoulders. First world problems. Jeffrey Chase of Boston to the LP News made it even more clear, and I will quote him. Readers of the LP News might be left with a wrong impression about our governor. Make no mistake, Weld is by no means a borderline libertarian with some silly quirk about gun ownership. Weld is a plundercrat through and through. Take a look at the facts. Show me the Weld facts. Weld has named a state drug czar to fight the war on drugs. Weld has the annoying habit of creating ever-increasing budgets, billions bigger than any Mike Dukakis ever signed. A Weld budget that included a 13% pay raise for state employees was called gluttonous by the liberal media. Voters approved a gas tax dedicated to road repairs. Triggered. Weld successfully challenged the earmarking portion of this new tax in court and then spent the money elsewhere. Go figure. Weld added $3.5 million in the 1994 budget to fund public art. Weld has doubled spending to a whopping $500 million to purchase land for state parks and open spaces. After flip-flopping on privatizing state convention centers, Weld has led the fight to build a new $2.2 billion state-owned megaplex convention/sports center. Weld pushed through a crime package that gave police new powers to wiretap. Nothing has changed since Weld took office. Massachusetts is still heading in the wrong direction. Sure, things could be worse with a Democrat in office, but how much worse? Signed, Jeffrey Chase, Boston, Massachusetts. And then there is a really helpful editor's note that says, Chase included 12 more examples of Weld's non-libertarian actions that we did not have room to print. This flip-flopping and acting like a consistent politician, which is duplicitous, this wasn't a secret. We knew this in 2016. So the other topic I wanted to cover was how the LNC covered the multiple anti-libertarian statements made by the 2016 candidates. Let me be clear, I'm not referring to interim statements or positions that didn't go all the way in one step to libertopia. There's nothing anti-libertarian about that. It is a strategic decision that might be the best decision in some cases. It is the others that actually denied libertarian principles, such as bake the cake, bake the cake, bake the cake, and denying that all drugs should be legalized. And there was that helpful comment by Weld when Johnson at least said, he would like to eliminate the income tax, and he goes, whoa there, we don't need to go that far. There are others, we all know them. To be clear, the only perfect candidate to any of us would probably just be ourselves, alone, and not even ourselves sometimes, and that would be a pretty lonely club. Not every candidate is going to agree with every jot and tittle of Libertarian Party ideology. But we need to stop acting like candidates, particularly ones who have deigned to shine their previously elected eyes on us. Are the golden calf, and all must fall prostrate before them. But the alternative isn't just throwing our candidates under the bus either, but it is to have a clear understanding that both participants in this exchange, the party and the candidate, bring something to the relationship, that we stand for something. And if they are going to use our name, they need to respect that by differentiating where they differ or avoiding those areas where they differ. We are not, listen to me, fam. We are not like some hideous, old-maid, stank bridge troll that needs to seize upon any suitor that just might happen to come her way. We bring our ballot access at a minimum to the table, and we need to stop lifting our skirts like a cheap trollop. Smart whores get paid. And I say that with the utmost respect to smart whores. They make an honest living, unlike politicians. So, what happened when the cringe fest started coming out of the Johnson-Weld camp? We had both extremes yelling at party leadership. One extreme was that the candidates were Lord God, King Almighty, against which we must never utter a negative word, lest we be struck down for our blasphemy. The other was, OMFG, we had better disqualify them now, kill them. And then kill them again. Which our bylaws do allow, the disqualifying, not the killing part. But it does not require such an extreme action, which is a nuclear option, as some people had read them at that time. Here is the bylaw article in question, at least the relevant parts. The National Committee shall respect the vote of the delegates at nominating conventions and provide full support for the party's nominee for president and nominee for vice president, as long as their campaigns are conducted in accordance with the platform of the party. A candidate's nomination may be suspended by a 3/4 vote of the entire membership of the National Committee at a meeting. Those two things are actually in separate sections in the article. One was section 4, one was section 5. So it wasn't all lumped together. Provide full support wasn't in opposition or juxtaposition to disqualify, like the choices were full support or disqualify. So in that first section, there is a shall requirement. Shall fully support the decision of the delegates at convention as long as the campaigns are conducted in accordance with the party platform. Not fully supporting does not have to equal disqualification, but it certainly must mean something other than full support. And certainly that would include setting the record straight about what our principles and positions actually are, which the last LNC, which I was on, did not do. And that was an abdication of our duty. I could explain or excuse, however you want to put it, some of the difficulties that I found myself in that I would not find myself in now, because at that time I was a Region 1 representative. I believe the regional representatives are to represent the will of their state chairs or state parties, unless they blatantly go against the principles of the party. Now, this may have been such an incident. So, while now, as a party officer, I don't have that one hurdle, my fiduciary duty is to the party and its principles without any intervening people that are relying on me being their particular voice. Still, always, the party's principles come first. Now, behind the scenes, I did try. We pleaded with the campaign management, and they threw us a sop of having some LNC members and some other members of the libertarian community sit on an advisory committee to assist them, allegedly or ostensibly, on how to avoid this conflict with the party base. And I took this in good faith, but it really wasn't. It was just an appeasement. And when push came to shove, when we had asked them, please, at least just differentiate where you're going off platform, we were basically invited to kindly go fuck ourselves. So, if that situation were to happen again today, or something similar, I do think that the party leaders on the state level and the national level have a duty to our principles to contradict our candidates when they're going against them. That can be done respectfully and professionally. Ignoring it was not the right thing to do. And one thing that did happen is there was a flood of new people into the LP, which is great. But some of them came because they thought we held to things that we don't. That's not fair to us, and it's not fair to them. Notice I am not saying that people have to come into the party full-blown, anarcho-capitalists, right, out of the womb. No, they do not. But they should not be deceived by us into coming into something that we actually hold the opposite of. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing when new members come in that are going to hold some non-libertarian beliefs. Some of us still hold non-libertarian beliefs. I have my precious little heresies as well. It's the deception. It's the bait and switch. And we, in party leadership, owed it to everyone, I think, to make that a bit more clear. And again, if that happened today, I would do so. I don't think I've been shy, not that I was shy before, but I think I'm even less shy now when I think either the LNC or just the party in general is in abdication of some of its principles, even if I'm in a minority, even if I'm just a few, even if I was just a solo voice, on the LNC, which I'm not, but I would, such as the fact that the party is taking a very distinct leftward turn. And, I'm going to tell it to you straight. I asked Chair Starwork specifically about that. I said, Nick, people are getting the impression that you're steering the party left. And he said to me, people are getting that impression because I am. And then he went on to explain about how when there's a Republican as president, we go this way, and when there's a Democrat, we go this way, and we need to stop doing that shit as far as I'm concerned. We just need to be libertarian. But then I said to Nick, I go, I'm going to oppose that, don't you? And here's the classic line. Caryn Ann, you're going to do what you feel you need to do. And that's what I've done. It isn't that long ago that I was complaining that we were catering to the right too much, because we do ping pong back and forth, and we shouldn't do that. And I think this schism, or sometimes the thirst to appeal to the left more, is a reaction because the party was post-Portland, the 2006 platform massacre, into trying to appeal more to the right. And I think, the prime example of that was the 2008 abomination of a ticket with Bob Barr and Wayne Allen Root. So we can't go that way, but we shouldn't also be jerking our head the other way. We need to just be libertarian. Forget about this left-right. It's all bullshit anyway. It's, I said on one of my Facebook pages, sometimes when people complain that, oh, you're a purist, you're just a libertarian purist, and that's like a shibboleth, oh, can't have purists, you're a radical. It's just a frosting to hide the fact that what they are really talking about is initiating force against people. And yeah, I'm a purist against initiating force against people. I'm kind of weird like that. I hope you are too. Well, anyway, there it is for the bonus episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and have an awesome day. Mi guapas de libertad.
All opinions, perspectives, rants, jokes, and outbursts of any and all kinds are solely me speaking on my own behalf and not on behalf of the party.